This is David Siegel with a short video on how to set up your Zoom files for Premiere Pro, and it includes the best tutorial on setting up sound for going from mono to dual mono. I start with the recordings. I've only got the 1920 versions, 1020, that's what I like for YouTube. And I'm going to use the version here that is the gallery recording. And that's particularly so I can make adjustments. So I'll drop that into my project here that I've already set up. Now, if I put this into the timeline, I'm going to have the wrong sound. So the first thing I have to do is set up the sound. And this is for all of you people who are having problems getting audio to work when it comes in mono. You want it to go stereo. So we say mono here, mono here. Then we have a number of audio clips. We want 2. And then you don't want to hit return there because it'll close the window. So you just click out. And then you see it gives you a second channel. This is the right channel. And then we fill it with the same stuff. This is so easy once you know it, and so hard and frustrating if you don't. And then when you put it on the timeline, lo and behold, you're going to have... So you're going to have the right deploy some dual mono sound. Now I've got 2 people talking with each other here across a shared gallery view. So I'm going to change, and they're all, we need all kinds of adjustments for both. That's the first thing we're going to do is we will unlink, and I'm going to duplicate the video. Okay, I do the video first and then the audio. It doesn't much matter. Now I've got 2 and they're identical, and I'm going to put crop on both. So I drop crop on this one, and then I drop crop on this one. Now I can crop them. Now there's a trick here. It's kind of funny if you go to crop this video and you go to Effect Controls to crop, and you start messing with it, what happens is you can't see a thing. Watch this. Here, look, crop isn't doing a thing. Why? Because underneath it is the same video behind, so you can't see any crop. So turn this back one off, and now you can see, now you can see the crop. Before it was doing the same thing, but the video behind was making it, image behind was making it so you couldn't see. So once you figure that out, it gets a lot easier. And so here I'm just going to set this up, and I'll make him a little bigger. Not much, because I can see that the other person is pretty big. So this is Micah. I'll make him a little bigger, and then I'll bring his top down just a bit. There we go. And I'll bring him over to the right so that he's in the middle. And we have a nice gutter on the right, and then we'll have a very thin gutter on the left. Now we can bring the other one back, because now we can see which is which, obviously. See? So now they're not on top of each other, and we can go to the other one. And I like to keep this up while I do this so I can see the comparative sizes. And here we have a crop situation where we're going to go left. Woo! And there we go. And then we'll move her over like that. And you see, I like to have sort of the faces be the right proportion. And so grown-ups are a little bit bigger than Micah is. So I'll take her down so she's just a little bit kind of a real life size. And there we go. I like that very fine gutter in between. And then I'll just size everything to match this. So she's pretty small because she was sitting close to her computer. I actually asked her to sit back. But, she got excited when she was talking, and she didn't. And that's something you can try to do when you talk to people, is get the 2 heads to be about the same size. That's going to help as you start to edit and put things together. So I'm going to scale that up. No problem. I might have to sharpen a little bit. Bring it down and bring it left a little bit. So there's my there's my thin gutter, and then I'm gonna I think I'll just bring them both over a little bit. So bring Micah left just a bit, and I'll bring her a little bit left to match. And now I've got a reasonable gutter on the sides that matches. I also like to put the two frames a little bit high of center, just a little bit. So here I'm gonna just up there like that. And that gives me some room underneath to put notices and things. And it's just kind of a nicer look to have just a little bit less margin here and a little bit more down here, and equal on the sides, and then this nice thin gutter here. So that's all set up. Now I can just do the color one at a time. That's what's cool about this, because they're going to have different lighting. And so here I just go to, I'm not too sophisticated on color, so I just generally take the saturation down a little bit. I want a little bit more in the blacks always to put behind his shoulder. See, I can isolate him a little bit by bringing some blacks down. And then migration. Let me just turn off the sound. And he's looking a little pink, but not too bad. I always like to get the exposure high if I can, higher. But I just want a nice rich scene. You notice I've got one-sided lighting. It's with one light. I usually have a background light that I didn't turn on here. That's just missing. Most of these videos have a small background light here, so that the chair is isolated. But then here, he's looking pretty natural. I'm just going to, I don't know, make him a little less pink. And there we go. I'm pretty happy with that. So then, now she's still pretty big, but there isn't that much I can do about it. Sure, I could make him a little bigger. I like having sort of about the right relative sizes to be about right, so here I'll take the crop. I'll just crop in a tiny bit so that my left margin and right margin are about the same, and then I'll take the top down a little bit. I'll bring the bottom up. And then I'll take the whole thing down just to match and slide it over. So that's not too bad. I see that he's a bit left, so I'll just bring the right side over in a little. And then slide it over. Take the top down. So that matches. And then we need a little left side, but bring that back to, there we go. That's not too bad. Micah looks pretty good. Now we'll take her and try to sharpen her up a bit. We can use sharpen. Sharpen is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with sharpen. And that's the bottom one. So then we'll just bring this sharpen amount up. And sharpen really helps a lot. Look, here's a lot of sharpen, and it works great. Also notice here while I'm looking at this, I've got full here. And sometimes if you set it to half, this is just the display resolution so that it increases speed, and I've got a fast machine. So I generally leave it at full, but if your machine is slow, and then you're just gonna see everything at half resolution, and that's gonna make it a little grainy, and that's fine if your machine doesn't have the horsepower, but if you do, then you want it to be full. And you can see she's a little over sharpened. Okay, fine. Soften up a little bit. Somewhere in here. I like the sharpening. So that's working. Now I'm not worried about the name. I could do that with The problem is I don't have anything on top. You see that her, oops, she's going into her presentation now. The problem is I don't have anything on top to work with. So I can't go to crop and see the top is at 0. So I have nothing up here. So I can't really raise this without squashing him. And so I don't mind the name in this case, but in other cases I might. Let's just see if I can take the bottom up a little bit. Whoa. All right, that's not so bad. Maybe I can do something to Micah here to get him on the same. Let's bring him down a little bit. Down, bottom up a tiny bit. That's not so bad. That's not too bad. It's a little bit small, but it's a good interview. So it focuses people. I really don't mind this frame here. You know, with Zoom, you don't get enough resolution to make the faces big. Now, as I go, and I'm pretty happy with her color. I could see what I can do in the color department. And see if there's anything. Again, I am not a pro color grader. So, whoops, this is saturation. I generally like to knock saturation down a little bit and then bring up the exposure a bit. And she has one-sided light, which is also very good. That really helps. Light source on the side. And then you can just mess around, you know, do you want the shadows or not? And just see what you can do to, you know this stuff yourself. So this is not an exercise in color grading. And here I can see Micah needs just a little more exposure maybe. Or a little bit, tiny bit of contrast and little take out some saturation. So there we go. So this is all set up, and now I'm going to have a presentation. So, and then let's do the sound.
Yeah. The different
Now we're
personalities
just checking here.
Ones are a little bit aggressive, or some ones are like so.
Go to the high points and see how we do up here. Yeah.
What's the difference between all of them?
Okay, that looks fine. I'm okay with sound. And in this case, I've got 2 sound files. I've got 1 sound file for both, and the sound level is good for both.
And the other one,
here she is.
And then I'm taking care of it, and
and you know, if that doesn't work, then you can always go to the separate sound files. You've got 2 sound files, and you can put them both in and adjust them as separately, which I have to do once in a while, but most of the time you have to set up Zoom to give you those separate sound files just to make sure as a backup. And now when someone makes a presentation, this is not difficult. Now I've got everything set up, so we'll go to her presentation, and the second that turns on, I can cut. And then I can go over here to the end of the presentation. Micah still looks a little bit pink, doesn't he? I will just make him just a bit less pink.
And the feeding trip that they do from the colony to the seed to get success.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Now, back here to find the presentation. I'll just turn off the sound so I can narrate. And right there. So right here, I'm going to make a cut. And then I'll go to the end of the presentation, wherever that is. Somewhere in here. And it's right here, maybe? Right there, okay. And now I'll just make a cut here. And then I can take her screen and just show her screen full out and take everything away. And just give it the whole screen. At 100%. Bring it down. And you can present it like that. If you have the full screen, you can also make it bigger. But this is actually fine for me. So here is her presentation, and it's full screen. Nothing is clipped from it. I have to take away the bottom, I see, and the top, and so now I'll move it over. There we go, and then bring it up like that. And that's her, there we go, full screen, so that's fine. And that's her presentation about penguins. And then when it ends, we're back here, and we can do our full editing now. To edit, I take everything and make it into in the clip. I make a group here, and it just makes it easier to grab, to cut, just so that it's not so squirrely and you don't have so many pieces separate. And that's it. That's my editing setup. And then I go do, all my cuts, and then stick some music. And then I've got one more thing. I've got my free YouTube like and subscribe thing. Got this thing for free somewhere, and I can have to resize it every time, which doesn't take very long. And it goes, I can take it down like that. Drop it underneath, and then I'll easily now just repeat that. I could repeat it under her presentation. That's a bad idea because it's full screen, so I'll just bring it over here. And it just goes anywhere because there's no interference with the frame. So it comes out, looks like that. Not too bad. And then you can put music and do your cuts. So not a difficult setup, and pretty effective once you've got the sound thing worked out. I think that's the main thing. I hope this was helpful. I don't do many videos on Premiere Pro, but I do have a system that works for me. I hope you have a system that works for you.